Fantastic Forum here at the Baltimore Comic Con. It's a great show. And you know, I've come to this show 3 years in a row. It seems to get bigger and bigger every year. It's crazy. So we're going to walk around a little bit and we're going to talk to some talented people who work in the comics industry, and we're going to see what else we can find.
Held annually, the Baltimore Comic Con is entering its 14th year. A comic book-oriented convention, the event was founded in 2000 by Mark Nathan. Originally a one-day event that was held in the Baltimore suburb of Towson, Maryland, the show has grown steadily and is now a full weekend at the downtown Baltimore Convention Center, attracting tens of thousands of fans to the Inner Harbor area. The convention features well-known comic artists, writers, and editors from the golden age of comics through present day. Comics publishers, charitable organizations catering to comics creators, as well as a dealer's room with vendors offering comic book back issues, limited edition collectibles, and genre-related merchandise of all kinds.
We are here at the Baltimore Comic Con talking to David Mack. Thanks for taking the time, David. He is the artist, writer, creator, everything for Kabuki. So tell us, where did you get the idea for this?
I did the very first Kabuki volume. This is the very first Kabuki volume. I did this when I was in college, maybe like early 90s. I started working this in 93. And it was just I wanted to do a creator-owned book that I could include interests I had and things I was learning and funnel it, into the stories.
And what other projects are you working on right now?
The newest thing I'm doing right now is a new Daredevil project for Marvel Comics. It's called Daredevil End of Days, and it's an 8-issue series that I'm writing with Brian Bendis, and I'm doing art to it with Alex Maleev and Bill Sienkiewicz and Klaus Janson are doing the majority of the art. So it's all creators who have done different eras of Daredevil and large chunks of their career on Daredevil all kind of working together on this big Daredevil.
Because I know you've done other work on Daredevil over the years.
Right, yeah.
Is there something about that character that appeals to you? Do you identify with something about it?
Yeah, well, I read a Daredevil comic for the first time when I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, and it had a big visceral impact on me. It was during the Miller-Jansen era of Daredevil, and so it's amazing to be able to work on the character now when it was so influential to me as a child, and kind of collaborate with that child version of myself and my memories of it, and now even collaborating with the creators that inspired me as a child, but now we're working together.
We're coming to you live from Baltimore Comic Con 2012. Patrick Michael Strange. I'm here with the Goon guy, Eric Powell. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you doing?
Doing well?
Doing well, yeah.
I have to make a confession.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of the Goon work, artwork, awesome, inspiring as an artist, as a filmmaker. I love your work, but I haven't read Goon. So for me, I guess the uninitiated, can you tell us about Goon?
It's kind of, that's a hard question to answer. Because it's people who have read the Goon will tell you it's kind of all over the place. But in a nutshell, if I was going to distill it down, it's basically about a mob enforcer in a world full of monsters, and he punches lots of stuff. That's it. But it's got a lot of humor, but also I kind of like go back and forth between fairly serious stories and really kind of off-the-wall humor and stuff like that.
From just the artwork, being an artist, that's what caught me first. And I'm sure your writing is awesome, but you sold me by the art. And I've heard rumors, being a film guy,
Yeah.
some Goon going on in Hollywood possibly?
Well, for the past few years, we've been trying to get an animated film off the ground. It's with Blur Studios, and David Fincher is producing it.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just trying to find the right people who give us the money we need to make it, and that's basically where we are right now. We're still been pushing it. Paul Giamatti and Clancy Brown are on to be the voices of Goon and Cranky. So we've got everything in place. We just need the financing. So we're still right now. I mean, there's we've got some interested parties. We're just trying to get someone to commit, and but we're going to keep pushing it until we finally get the thing made.
Let's get the online petition going. Let's have Goon out there.
We're actually about to start a Kickstarter to storyboard the whole film and do an animatic.
Okay.
So hopefully, we can share the studios and sit down, watch the whole film, see what it's going to be like, and hopefully that'll help sell it. But yeah, the Kickstarter will hopefully be up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, we're just trying to finalize the incentive program stuff.
This guy is an amazing illustrator. If you're, I guess, a fan of Bernie Wrightson, I don't want to stereotype and compare, but if you guys are a fan of like this style art, John K. Snyder, Bernie Wrightson, who I hate to compare. You're all individuals, you're all amazing, but I love your artwork.
We are here at Baltimore Comic Con with Jerry Gaylord, artist for Fanboys vs. Zombies. Tell us about this Fanboys vs. Zombies.
Fanboys vs. Zombies is a really cool, fun book. It's written by Sam Humphries. He also does the Ultimates for Marvel. But basically, a zombie apocalypse breaks out at Comic Con.
At Comic Con.
At Comic Con. And,
I always knew that was going to happen.
Oh yeah, totally. Even we explain the origin of zombies, and it's fun. So basically, a group of fanboys and girls, they have to fight their way out of the convention center after the outbreak. So.
Hey,
Yeah.
and I see that your art is very vivid. What inspires you?
Everything. My studio mates here, I'm part of Identity Comics, and my wife, Penny, she does the inks. Brian Turner, he does inks also, and Dominic Stanton, he'll be doing some covers pretty soon. But yeah, my teammates, and really inspired by like 80s animation and just the 80s in general, I guess.
How long have you been at this?
I'd say about maybe 10 years or so. Yeah.
Wow.
Long time. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you grew up reading comics?
I did. I've always been a really big Superman fan, and Superman got me involved in comics. So like I was really big into like the Super Friends cartoons, and yeah. So like that was really what got me into comics.
So what do people ask you about when they walk up to your table?
Well, we do a lot of prints, and so like people are excited about like our take on like classic characters, and then the book, people are just excited to see something fun and cartoony, because it's like Fanboys versus Zombies is a different take on zombies. Like it's not like The Walking Dead where it's really kind of heavy and like every book is very dark. Fanboys is it's just a lot of fun.
And zombies are big right now.
Yeah, they are. It's good times. It's good times.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Oh, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it.
We've been talking about Valiant's return on the show, Exo Man of War, Archer and Armstrong, and now here, Shadow Man is on its way. I got Fred with Valiant here to talk about the great stuff coming to you from Valiant. I love it, but I'm gonna let Fred talk a little bit more.
I am Fred Pierce, a publisher of Valiant Entertainment. I was actually with the original Valiant in the day. I was VP of Operations and Manufacturing then. Valiant, we've been working on the relaunch for a long time. In May, we launched Exo, and what we did for the summer of Valiant, we wanted to give the readers and the retailers time to absorb all the books. So in May, we launched Exo. In June, we launched Harbinger. In July, we launched Bloodshot. And in August, we launched Archer and Armstrong. So to date, we've released, for the full summer, we released 10 different, 10 individual titles. It was four of the titles were, from the time. We're going to be launching Shadow Man in November.
So excited about that.
It's another one of our big books. In Exo number 5, you'll see the first appearance of Ninjak. and a lot of the characters from the Valiant universe will be appearing in the different books as time goes on.
Turok, Solar, Dr. Mirage.
Well, Turok, Solar, and Magnus are not part of the Valiant universe. Classic Media and I believe Dark Horse controls them today, so they won't be part of our universe today. We miss them, but they're not with us.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay.
But what about Dr. Mirage?
Dr. Mirage will be coming back. All of the Valiant characters will
Dr.
be
Mirage is coming back?
Everything will be coming back eventually. So we'll be doing those characters as time goes on. We just had a secret writers retreat Wednesday and Thursday. So all of the questions that you were asking have been coming up, and we'll be talking about whether or not when and which characters come together. One of my favorite books from the day was Eternal Warrior. We will be seeing Eternal Warrior at some point in time. We will be seeing a lot of these characters at some point in time. It might be next month, it might be 2 years from now, but the schedule is, they're on the schedule.
I can't wait. You've heard me on the show talk about Valiant. I love Valiant. I'm so happy they're back.
I travel all over the country doing conventions myself, and throughout the 80s and 90s. And when I was talking to other folks around the country about where I was from, that question came up: why isn't there one in Baltimore? Or even like Town Pride, and there should be one in Baltimore. And that developed into, you're right. And in the late 90s, the question was, did I want to do that or open a second store? And I decided that I would do the convention, and now my answer is, yeah, I have a second store. It's open 2 days a year and has more people at it than any store I could imagine.
Costuming, or cosplay, as it has come to be known, remains a robust activity among comics fans. The Baltimore Comic Con recognized this trend and in response added a costume contest, offering categories for males and females of all age groups. The contestants get the opportunity to parade before the audience and show off their work on stage. Costumes are judged by a panel of experts, and contestants win prizes for their creativity and ingenuity in fabricating the garb of their favorite characters. Many of the costumes are of studio quality, and cosplayers often spend months working to make their costumes as authentic as possible. We're here at the Baltimore Comic Con with a deadly Dalek from the Doctor Who TV series. And I'm in danger of being destroyed. How's that for alliteration? No, I'm just kidding. Actually, this is Justine in here. Justine has just won the women's category in the Baltimore Comic Con costume contest. Thank you so much for being with us, Justine.
Thank you for having me.
This costume is absolutely fabulous. I look at this and I'm just beside myself because I'm a longtime costumer in addition to being a crazy comic book geek. So you must be a huge Doctor Who fan.
I consider myself to be a Whovian, yes.
Well, I should hope so with all this. Who's your favorite Doctor?
I have to say Matt. Matt's my favorite Doctor, number 11.
I got you. So how long did it take you to make the costume?
About 10 months.
And what is it made of?
It's a mixture of wood, fiberglass, and plastic.
Well, I tell you what, this is one of the most intricate costumes that I've ever seen, particularly in this show, and I don't see many Daleks. You know, it's almost like Doctor Who is an afterthought at some of these shows. You know?
It has to be that way.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on your big win.
Thank you very much.
Approach, or you will be exterminated. Exterminate! Exterminate!
Hi, we're Comic Con Cuties, and you're watching Fantastic Four.
In publication for a while. I'm going to Miami. While I'm gone, I'd like you to fire all the others.
Welcome back to this Fantastic Forum special on the Baltimore Comic Con. One of the premier attractions at the 2012 edition of the Baltimore Comic Con was an appearance by the legendary Stan Lee. Best known for his creation of such characters as Spider-Man and the Hulk, Stan is widely credited with establishing Marvel Comics as the top-tier comics publisher. Stan shared the stage with a fellow legend in comics, artist John Romita, in a Q&A moderated by veteran comics writer Mark Waid. Here is an excerpt from that panel.
I'm no good at historical things. I don't remember what his first script was. I don't remember how we met. I'll tell you one thing I remember. This was the greatest man to work with that you could ever find anywhere. He has received so much less credit than he deserves for the Marvel Age of Comics, because anytime anything was needed, if Kirby didn't bring in a job that he was supposed to, and I needed a guy to finish it quickly, if Ditko didn't have time to do a cover or do a strip, and I needed somebody to fix it, if Gene Colan needed it, if we needed a strip that Colan was doing but he couldn't do the next month, it didn't matter who the artist was that needed a replacement. All I had to do was give it to John Romita, and it was usually done as good or better than the original artist would have done. The only problem is he was so good that I hesitated to give him his own script to stay with, because then I wouldn't have anybody around to do all the emergency stuff. Now, he could do anything. He could do penciling, he could do inking, he could do any script at all. He could draw gorgeous girls, he could do the best action scenes, and I don't even like him personally. I mean, you can believe me, I have no reason to say this. I love this man.
I will point out that that means I was highly underpaid.
He was underpaid. I wasn't the guy. Everybody thought that I made up the pay rates. We had a boss named Martin Goodman, the stingiest man who ever lived. I was underpaid, but nobody ever noticed that.
He underpaid you, and you were a blood relative.
Yeah, with some blood relative. I was, wait a minute, the publisher was my cousin's husband. It was a real close tie. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, so you spent some time at Marvel, obviously in the 50s, and then when things started to peter out there, you went full time at DC, right?
You want to hear the story that happened in 1958 when Marvel had shut down to about 2 or 3 books. I called up Stan's secretary and said I had done about $100 worth of work on my last Western. I'd like to vouch it. And she said, I'm afraid there's no chance. So when I got off the phone, I told Virginia, if Stan Lee calls, tell him to go to hell. And I went to work for DC. I didn't keep that code in the house, of course. And I never did tell you to go to hell, so you don't have to worry about it.
Well, we still got time. So you were there for about, what, 5 years at DC?
I think 7 years when I first... no, I was 8 years.
8 years.
7 years at Marvel.
Right. 8 years
at DC.
Doing the most beautifully illustrated and most wretchedly written romance stories. Well, actually, you did either, depending on how you count it, you either did hundreds of romance stories, or you did the same exact romance story 100 times. Again, looking at those stories. That must have been...
It was true, except for Bob Kanigher's stuff. Kanigher we did 2 series. Actually, they were like soap operas.
Yeah.
A running story, a book on nurse stories,
Right.
and a book on airline stewardesses.
Right.
And I used to get things from Bob Kanigher like, they're on skis at the crest of a hill,
Yeah.
and they're kissing. And I used to say to him, wow, how the hell do you kiss on skis? And he says, trust me, it's been done, I've done it. Now, anybody who ever met Bob Kanigher knows you never ski, let alone kiss the girl.
Well, you never had the pleasure to meet Kanigher, but I gotta tell you something about those romance stories. It'll break his heart because it has nothing to do with John at the moment. I used to write almost all the romance stories, but they were supposed to be confessions. And in other words, all the stories were supposed to be written by a girl confessing some terrible problem that she had in her love life. And I, as John knows, I like putting my name down on everything I've done. I have this penchant for enjoying seeing my name in print. And I wondered, how can I say by Stan Lee, if it's supposed to be a girl who's telling about her love life, but how can I not put my name if I wrote the damn story? So I got an idea, and this is one of the few sneaky, tricky things I've done in my very upright and honest existence. I came up with the idea of writing as told to Stan Lee. So on the front page of every story, it would say something like, my broken heart as told to Stan Lee. Even today, I sometimes get letters tweeted to me, or fax, or whatever it is they call it. I saw one of your old romance books. What would make any girl tell all those things to you?
The Harvey Awards were named after the late Harvey Kurtzman and established to recognize the outstanding achievements of comic book industry professionals and publishers. Among the 2012 recipients were Mark Waid, Best Writer for his work on Marvel Comics' Daredevil, J.H. Williams, Best Artist for DC's Batwoman, and the Lifetime Achievement Award to artist John Romita Jr.
John Romita, if ever you heard the expression in shipboard, the old block, John Romita Jr. is just as good as they come as a comic book artist. And to say that he's as good as his father is the highest praise you can give anybody. John Romita Jr., come on up here. And I think it's only fitting that you get this from your father. I'm going to shut up now.
What is it for? This is the Lifetime Achievement Award. It doesn't make sense. But it does make for fun. And joy and pride. Here's yours.
We're here at the Baltimore Comic Convention speaking with PHIL LAMARR. Thank you very much for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Now, you had come out mainly to be the Master of Ceremonies at last night's Harvey Awards.
Yes, that's correct. I got a chance. Their regular host couldn't make it this year, and they asked me to come fill in, and it was a blast. I mean, I got to see John Romita give the Lifetime Achievement Award to his son, you know, and Stan Lee was up there, and Mark Waid. I mean, people whose work I've enjoyed for decades upon decades, you know. I'm a huge comic book reader for, you know, most of my life. And yes, that's why coming to this is just a lot of fun, you know. Although preparing for that, knowing who was going to be in the audience was a little daunting, you know.
Well, I tell you what, I thought you pulled it off magnificently. It's such a great privilege to get to talk to you. I mean, you know, because I remember you from Mad TV and, of course, all the various voice work you've done. And it's interesting because you're one of the few performers where I think your voice is actually better known than your face to most of your fans.
Well, it's interesting because my very first professional job was a cartoon when I was in high school, but it wasn't really part of a career. It was just a job. Then I started working on camera, and I was fortunate enough to get a series that actually stayed on the air. And then as soon as I left Mad TV, I started getting a lot of voiceover work. And it's really been fascinating to see that the appeal of the voiceover work has overtaken the on-camera stuff to a certain degree. I mean, I think there are still a lot of people who only know me from Mad TV or Pulp Fiction who are not animation fans at all, but it's strange how in the years since I've started doing animation, the geek culture, pop culture fan machine has grown to such a degree that so many more people watch cartoons and so many more people are into them that, yeah, it's, I can come to an event like this just based on cartoon work and have people, lined up to say hi. And it's like, I think, it would have been unimaginable when I first started out in show business.
Whew, wow, this was exhausting. It was a lot of stuff, wasn't it? I'm Billie Rae Bates for Fantastic Forum, and it's been a great time here at the Baltimore Comic Con. We'll see you next time.
Join the Fantastic Forum fan community on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for all the latest news and updates.